The ACC has been red hot in baseball, including Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State, and NC State. All four have made their way to the College World Series. Virginia and North Carolina will renew the South's oldest rivalry. Florida State's got Tennessee. NC State's got Kentucky. And on this episode of the ACC College Huddle, I talked to the Red White podcast from NC State, Plant the Spear from Florida State, and the Hill Brothers from North Carolina to get their thoughts on what it's going to take for their school to win the College World Series. Also, I will give my lowdown of the Wahoos to see what's it going to take for Virginia to take it all the way to the end. Other than that, hit the subscribe button and give us a like. We will bring you the content tonight on the ACC College Huddle. Welcome in to another edition of the ACC College Huddle. Every week we've been doing a lot of football talk and getting ready for the upcoming football season. But today's episode, we are talking ACC and the College World Series. And what we could call this is the ACC SEC baseball challenge, because 4 teams from the ACC and 4 from the SEC. So in our episode today, I was able to reach out and I talked to, starting out with Jesse from Plant the Spear podcast, the Florida State representative for the College Huddle, to get his thoughts on what it will take for Florida State to win the College World Series. So I'm going to take you to that interview right now. From the Florida State podcast, Plant the Spear. How are you doing tonight, Jesse?
I'm good, my man. Just excited to be with you guys talking about some college baseball. We have made it to Omaha, so now things are, I'm nervous, but I'm excited. This is when it counts. So we've been here. This is our 24th trip. So, I mean, we haven't won one yet. So, goodness gracious, it's got to break sometime.
Right. So to recap for our listeners, I know you guys got to the College World Series. You start out by beating Stetson 7-2, then UCF 5-2, and then finished off the Tallahassee Regional with a win over Stetson again, 12-4. And then moving on to the Super Regional, you hosted UConn, and that game 1 was crazy, 24 runs. Yeah. I turned it on, and they already had like 21 runs. I'm like, this is crazy.
We had a 3-touchdown lead going into the 8th inning.
Yep. And so you guys finished off UConn in 2 games, and now you guys the overall number 8 seed. What's the key? What has been the key to FSU reaching this point?
Really, man, this has been a massive turnaround in year 2 under head coach Link Jarrett. I mean, we were 23-31 last year. At one point we were 2-22. And I mean, they started this year 19-0. And so like we knew they were on to something. As bad as that season was last year, the best thing for them was it ended early, and they were able to go into the portal. They were able to go out and do recruiting early and get some guys in. We got a new pitching coach that came over from Dallas Baptist, and the pitching has turned around. Although we've dealt with some injuries, it's not quite as good as it could be. We kind of lost our number 2 starter. I don't envision him coming back the rest of the season, although they've hinted at it a few times. He's just not been ready. But the power in the lineup has been night and day. I mean, when you look at from top to bottom, this lineup is pretty dangerous. Just to paint a good picture of it, in 2023, we hit 55 home runs in the season. This year, we're at 123 so far. So, I mean, just looking at the power difference from one year to the next is completely changed this team.
All right. That number 2 pitcher, is that Al Leiter's son?
It's I think his nephew.
Okay.
Yeah, but Cam Leiter, man, when he came over from UCF, he was electric in the first few games, and then he's been hurt. They tried him with a bullpen session for the regional. They said it just didn't go well. And so from what we're hearing, he's just, at this point, he's been out for months, so I don't think he's going to be back the rest of the season. Although we could really use him right now because bullpen depth is kind of our weakness. So it stinks that we lost him, but luckily we've had a few guys step up in his place.
Right.
Has it been mostly portal guys this year? That's such a big turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, you got a few guys, the UCF guys, and they got a couple guys from Alabama that have helped, but really there's been a lot of homegrown guys. I mean, you got James Tibbs, who is the ACC Player of the Year. Cam Smith has had a really monster season, and then of course, really Jamie Arnold. I mean, he is a hometown recruit. Was a freshman for us last year. Now he's a sophomore, and I mean the turnaround season that he has had. He is one of the best pitchers, really, in the country. I think he's probably one of the best pitchers in the College World Series. It's just we're really hoping we really got to ride him because he is by far our best pitcher. But man, his turnaround, a lot of the hometown guys, you've just seen the development, and they struggled so much last year. But last year, a lot of it was pitching injuries. They lost multiple guys, and they just didn't have anybody to replace them. So while the bullpen depth isn't the greatest, it's so much better than it was last year.
So FSU's side of the bracket includes two other ACC schools in Virginia and North Carolina, and then you guys get the daunting task of the number one overall seed, Tennessee. First, what do you expect the pitching rotation to look like?
Yeah, we drew the short straw, but you know what? I think I was actually just on the Tennessee pod for the College Huddle, and we were talking about this, and it's like, as daunting as it may be to open up with Tennessee in game one, which they just announced is going to be at 7 p.m., so it's going to be, a primetime game. I think it's good for us to get them early. If you're going to take on that team, you want to push all your chips in that first game, because I don't know that we have the bullpen depth to make it out of the losers bracket if we end up down in there. So I think they're going to flip the pitching rotation this time, because you have normally Carson Dorsey is our Friday starter, and Jamie Arnold is our Saturday starter. I think you're going to see Jamie Arnold go against Tennessee. I don't think you have a choice. I think you got to throw your best arm at Tennessee. You're going to need him to go 6, probably 7 innings to be able to win that game. But if he does have a good game, and I mean against the UCF, the last game, or excuse me, the second game of the regional, I mean he threw an immaculate inning. He had 12 strikeouts. I mean, he can throw 100+ pitches. So I think they're going to start Jamie Arnold. It hasn't been announced yet, but I think that's where they're going to go. And then you're going to want to ride him as long as you can, because I don't know that you want to give the bullpen 4+ innings against an offense like Tennessee. But if you can get to where you only got to trust them for about 2 innings and the bats show up, I think we can have a good chance. But I mean, these two teams, it's going to be a fun game. I mean, these two teams, when you look at Tennessee and Florida State, what they did in the Super Regional combined, they hit 25 home runs in 5 games. So this is going to be, just a fireworks show, I think.
Right.
Yeah. The one thing about Omaha that's interesting is most years, even the teams that go in with a lot of offense, it gets to Omaha and things tend to settle down a little bit. So like with Virginia, that's our concern all year has been, are we going to have the pitching to be effective? Our lineup up and down has been, pretty incredible this year, but and then we got to the NCAA tournament and everything flipped. The bats have not gone cold. I mean, we still scored 10 runs and 7 runs this weekend, but the pitching has just kind of come out of nowhere. And you get to this point, anybody could win it. I mean, got either you're going to have 5 SEC and 3 ACC, or 4 and 4. We don't know yet about the NC State Georgia game, but all 8 teams, there's really no Cinderella this year.
No, it's all really, really good teams. And that's what, we were talking about with the Tennessee guys, was like, this is one of those matchups where you feel like you got to hold your breath for every at bat, because you got electric arms on the mound that could, ring people up left and right. You also got some heavy bats in that lineup that could send one into the bleachers at any given time. And like you said, man, everybody's good. This is the cream of the crop. There are no plays off in the College World Series. And, again, man, I think Florida State has enough horses to go out and win, to beat a team like Tennessee. I just worry about a little bit about the depth of the bullpen. But, man, now's when you got to find out. All those wins and all that turnaround in the regular season doesn't mean nothing unless you put the hardware in the trophy case. And, again, this is our 24th time. We've been national runner-up 3 times. When are you going to break the seal? And now it feels better than ever. But, man, it's going to be fun with all the ACC versus SEC games, and it's going to be awesome. We got 4 SEC teams on our side of the bracket, or ACC teams on our side of the bracket. So that's pretty cool too. And, maybe we can gang up and take the SEC team out.
Right. Unfortunately, Clemson couldn't. If Clemson could have got that win yesterday to get potentially 5 out of 8, and NC State's ahead 5-2 now. So
okay, yeah, Clemson let us down, but man, that's probably the best baseball game I've ever watched.
That was quite a game.
I hated that Florida won.
Right.
I kind of wanted both of them to lose, but it is what it is because we're rivals with both. But man, that was an amazing game.
Yeah, it was. So what's the key to you guys beating Tennessee?
So for us, I think you got to have two things. I think first off, you got to have Jamie Arnold come to play. You got to have him feeling it. I mean, this is a guy, again, he's got electric stuff, and he's not always had those lights out performances. So you're going to need him to be on high in this game. I mean, he's pitched 100 innings for us this season. He's 11-3 record, 155 strikeouts, 22 walks, 2.77 ERA. If he can be on and the bats can come to play, I think we can hold Tennessee off. I mean, I think this is a game where you're going to have to score probably 8 or 10 runs to win this game. I mean, because you got just power along the lineup. And then I think for us, like I said, with the lineup, you're going to need the bats to show up. I mean, we had James Tibbs, like we mentioned earlier, the ACC Player of the Year. He didn't have a hit in the regional. I mean, he had a lot of walks because people aren't pitching to him a whole lot. But then in the last game, UConn, where we went to 12 innings, he went 5 of 6 with 3 2-run home runs and 6 RBIs. So, like, we have a little bit of a boomer bust offense, and sometimes we rely on big innings. We may go scoreless for half the game, and then all of a sudden we hit a 5, 6, 7, 8 run inning, which is what won us one of the games against UCF. But we're going to need the bats to play. And I think we cannot get down to Tennessee. I think you cannot give them that confidence and that lead and kind of let the walls close in on you. And really, I think the main thing for Florida State, and this is something that we saw in that game against UConn, that last game, is you have to take advantage of the plays at hand. You cannot let that pitch count run up and run up and run up for Jamie Arnold, because in that UConn game, I think he went 5 1/3 and he threw 122 pitches. So, I mean, he racked up pitches fast because a couple of, little errors here and little mistakes there, you're adding 20 pitches to his pitch count. Right. So you have to keep that low. You have to keep him in the game, and then you're going to have to hit. And I think, they got power up and down the lineup. So you're going to have to, go blow for blow with a team like Tennessee. But, I mean, they're not unbeatable. I mean, we saw Evansville kind of got the best of them in that one game. So, they just really, in that last one, I was able to watch it, they just ran out of pitching. So, I think if we can get our top guys in there and they play well and they don't, they don't get too crazy in the moment, because we haven't been to the World Series in a little bit. Tennessee's been 3 out of the last 4 years. They got a little bit more experience on the big stage, but I think our guys will be ready. I think they're chomping at the bit. And of course, Link Jarrett, maybe a couple years ago when he took Notre Dame into Knoxville and knocked off Tennessee, maybe he's got the key to the enigma there to knock Tennessee off again. So hopefully, I think this is probably a better team than that Notre Dame team was.
All right. Okay. Well, so finish this statement for me. FSU wins the NCAA tournament if
we stay in the winner's bracket. I think it's that simple. I think if we go to the winner's bracket, I think we run out of gas. And I think that's what you've seen throughout the course of the season. When you look at the ACC tournament, I mean, we're doing really good. We got a win over, no offense to Virginia and Wake Forest and all them. Yep. But then we get to the Duke game and we get our doors absolutely blown off, like 16-7 or something. Right. But I mean, when you looked at what they did, they had to use their good arms to get there. But then when we got there to that ACC championship game, we were playing guys that frankly had no business being in the ACC championship game. And I mean, the wheels fell off. And that's something that you kind of saw with this team. Like, again, you look back at the Duke series in the regular season. We won the regular season series, but the last game of the series, they put 16 runs on us again, because Florida State, when you get to that game 3, you start to kind of get gassed in your pitching and your bullpen. So I think we have to stay in the winner's bracket. And if we can do that, I think Florida State can use the arms that they have. Carson Dorsey, Jamie Arnold, Connor Whitaker. You can use those guys and the power that you have. But man, if we fall into that loser's bracket and we have to go to some bullpen depth to get in a do or die situation, I'm going to be nervous.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait till Friday. Virginia plays at 1. And then I saw Florida State plays, you said 7
7 o'clock. Yeah, it's going to be prime time. And so, I mean, it's going to be, I think the funnest thing about these two teams, and really this is what's been, it's been a great postseason for college baseball. I think it's such an underrated sport. I think it's really growing and on the come up as far as fan support. The atmospheres are so awesome. And I think Florida State and Tennessee are two teams that kind of got that little bit of swag about them. They like to jaw back and forth a little bit. So I think it's going to be a really, really exciting matchup, and being at 7 o'clock is going to be even fun, even more fun. And, I don't know who will be in the lead with the Jello shot challenge by then, but I'm sure that'll make it even more interesting.
Oh yeah. No doubt. So just real quick, how can our listeners find your content, Jesse?
Yeah, so start by checking us out at plantthespear.com, our website. We have basically links to everything there. YouTube videos are right there on the channel, the podcast. We got written articles, links to all the social. And then, of course, again, on social media, check us out. We're always posting stuff. We're in the comment section and all that. But, just excited for this World Series, excited to be a part of the College Huddle, and we've been really kind of cranking out some baseball content, which, man, I mean, just to see the power of this grouping that we have of over 70-plus podcasts just goes to show you how crazy football season is going to be when we really stretch out and everybody's helping each other out, man. It's just a really exciting time.
Absolutely.
No doubt. And Jesse, it's always a pleasure to have you join us. Thank you for coming on, giving us some Florida State insight. I wish you guys the best of luck.
Yeah.
Almost.
First game.
I told the guys from the Vols podcast, I was like, look, good luck, except for that one game. I can't give you that, but obviously I appreciate you guys having me on. Good luck as well. We may meet at some point in this thing. So good luck in every game, but against each other. So we won't take it personally.
That's right.
All right. Have a great evening. And that was my interview with Plant the Spear. So, Florida State's, they're trying to get their first NCAA championship in baseball. I know they've been the bridesmaids several times, and they just want to be the bride. One other thing, and we're getting ready to hear from Evan from the Red White podcast. At the time we did the interview with Plant the Spear, actually, NC State was currently playing Georgia to get into the College World Series. So NC State joined the mix, and we were able to bring Evan on. We had already talked prior in the week, and the question was, are you available if? So the if happened, and we got Evan on, and let's hear what he had to say about NC State's chances. All right. Joining me now is Evan from NC State and the College Huddle's Red White podcast. How are you doing today, Evan?
I'm doing much better now that the Pack's going to Omaha, Jeff. I appreciate it.
That's right. So you've had quite the year anyway. So to start out, of course, you had your men's and women's basketball teams in the Final Four, and now your baseball teams in the College World Series. The biggest question for you is, how have you been able to keep the success of NC State from going to your head?
Oh, it's completely gone to my head. It has.
You got to be walking around with your chest poked out in North Carolina down Tobacco Road.
We don't get to celebrate very often as NC State fans. Like, that's just historically is how it's happened for us.
Right.
Things have always gone the other way. So when it does go our way, I mean, I am all in. Everybody is all about it.
Right.
We deserve it. In our
That's
eyes,
right.
it's at least to any other state fan, we deserve it, right? We've been through enough pain and nonsense that the good stuff, the good guys had to get one eventually at some point.
I got you. I don't blame you one bit. I'd be feeling the same way. So I'm gonna really quickly recap how you guys got to the point you're at. You hosted a regional, and you start out beating Bryant College, South Carolina, and then JMU. So 3-0 to get started. Then you traveled to Georgia in a 2-out-of-3 series. And the first game you scored 18 runs, which is crazy. 18-1 rout. And then come back the next day and lose 11-2. But then last night, as I was just telling you, we were at the edge of our seats. We were pulling for NC State. We wanted NC State and ACC to be represented, and you guys got the job done last night. So what has been the key to NC State reaching the World Series?
this team had come together at the right time. I know that sounds very cliche, but I think the ACC has proven itself to be a very strong baseball conference. We've seen that. And, State dealt with some injuries this year, early in the year, especially to the pitching staff. And it took them a little while to figure that out, right? It took them a little while for everybody to get going. And then we've had one guy had mono and then the flu in the middle of the year. And just, we had a bunch of things happen, but they started coming together. And this is a typical, event process here. And man, they just played really well at the end of the year. The starting pitching was held up. The bullpen is really what's pulled us through. And then we have enough bats and enough players in this team that, if we can get some quality innings out of the pitching staff, then, the bats can hit and these guys can all play. And it just started coming together. We started seeing them. They started winning road series. They started, they beat top 10 teams and just started coming together at the end. And they carried that momentum, through the regional and through the super, honestly. That first game, I know, nobody expected that kind of outburst, and everybody expected the second game where, you blow your load in the first game and the second game, it's just like, I don't know, did we use them all up? And we did, but they rallied in the third game, and, Georgia just didn't have the pitching depth. And every time Georgia made a move, State responded. And that's just kind of been how this team has worked this year. And, it's awesome to see. I mean, Georgia jumped on them. Whitaker came out dealing in the first inning, and then Georgia jumped on them with, they have big bats, man, hitting the ball hard. But then he settled down and he made it. I think he made it 5 1/3, and that was big for us. And if we can get to Duden and Consiglio and then D-Rock at the end, we can close out some games. So it's really about the starting pitching. And I know it was a long-winded answer, but they just kind of came together at the right time. And
right. What do you expect your pitching rotation to look like for this weekend?
I'm pretty sure Highfield, it'll be consistent. I don't think they're going to make any changes. Highfield get the start. And then we got Fritton and Whitaker and the next two if it comes to it. I think Sam's been here before. He's pitched in big games. He's done it. I feel like they feel pretty good about him, especially in that park where it's more of a pitcher's park. He tends to give up a lot of long balls, but not deep balls. So if that continues, he can get 5 innings in. I feel pretty good about State's chances. But yeah, I think the rotation will probably be pretty consistent. I don't think they'll make any major changes.
So you guys are on the side of the bracket, the lonely ACC school with the 2-seeded Kentucky Wildcats, and then also Texas A&M and Florida. And first I'll say, I hope it's Virginia versus NC State. You're the only ACC school I can say I hope makes it to the College World Series or to the championship game.
Same here. That feels mutual.
But so what will be the key to getting off to a good start and beating the 2-seeded Wildcats in game one? I know you kind of hinted to this a little bit with the pitching.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too caught up on Kentucky. I know this is their first trip to Omaha, so kind of hoping that the moment's too big for them, kind of deal, right? And they get a little bit overwhelmed being there. Right. That's kind of what we're hoping for. I think State's got a pretty good chance to play. I mean, they can play with anybody. We've done it before. We made runs to Omaha. We've gone through, Arkansas. We've gone through Vanderbilt. We've gone through the big programs before. The teams that nobody expected to lose, right? We won the Super against Arkansas in 21, and nobody expected that to happen. And we should have had Vanderbilt, but everybody knows what happened there. But yeah, I mean, the starting pitching to me is the biggest differentiator. They've got to, be able to maintain control and get some quality innings up, so that we can get to the bullpen, but not have to overuse them. That is the key for me. I think our bats are going to be pretty consistent. We have guys that know how to hit, know how to make plays, but if the pitching falters early on, I think that's where we'll be in trouble. But Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like you're echoing all of the ACC schools. At least I know Virginia for sure,
Yeah.
Florida State. We've the bats in the ACC have been red hot this year, and can you get enough pitching to win? Virginia, pitching has definitely been our downfall all year due to the same kind of stuff, injuries and things, as well as just some struggles. And then we get into this tournament, and the bats have been okay, solid, but not what they were. And the pitching is what's kind of brought us to where we are. But how about finish this statement for me? NC State wins the NCAA tournament if.
Yeah, it's a good question. I asked my community that earlier today. Because I'm curious. I think everybody kind of agreed if the starters can get 5 or 6 innings each night, I feel pretty good that State is going to be in a position to win. That means they've held up. They've not given up too many runs. I think if you want to get it on a micro level, it's playing Kentucky without using too much of the bullpen, right? If they can beat Kentucky without going too deep and working them too hard, you feel pretty good about them in a 3-game series. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but it's going to be the pitching. I think that's probably true for the rest of the schools as well. But State, I feel like, has a deeper and stronger pen than a bunch of the schools that are playing. So, can they not? Right.
Excuse me. Well, Evan, that's kind of all I have for you tonight. Could you tell me how our listeners can find your content?
Yeah, RedWhiteNetwork.com or Red White Podcast on Twitter is pretty much what we'll find. That's where you find all of our stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So we got the ACC SEC Challenge that's starting up this weekend. When does NC State play their game? I didn't even see that.
Saturday at 2, Friday at 2.
Saturday at 2. Okay.
Saturday at 2, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
One of those, the 2 o'clock slot. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Virginia's 2 o'clock Friday. Florida State 7 on Friday, and of course we're playing Carolina, and so we'll see. Clemson let us down. We could have been 5-3 in this College World Series, but
I'm kind of surprised by I'm surprised by Clemson faltering, but Florida's been hot, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with Texas A&M. Texas A&M's obviously strong, really strong at home.
Right.
Can they hold up, and does Florida stay hot? I mean, they're the underdog story right now. It's kind of hard to believe for a Florida program, but yeah.
Yep. No doubt. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me and look forward to linking back up as the tournament progresses, and also hopefully, we'll get back up for football as well here soon. So I appreciate it, and have a great afternoon. That was Evan from the Red White Podcast. Appreciate him coming on. NC State's had quite the year. Final Four in women's basketball, Final Four in men's, and the College World Series. See, the only ACC school on that side of the bracket, and then on our side of the bracket, or Virginia's side of the bracket, you have Virginia versus North Carolina, and then you got Florida State and Tennessee. So 3 ACC schools. Tennessee being the highest seed of all those. But the first game of the tournament Friday pits Virginia versus North Carolina. And so we had Heel Brothers Nathan join us from the Heel Brothers to talk about what it'll take for North Carolina to advance and win the College World Series. Let's hear what Nathan had to say. Oh, it's Nathan from UNC and the College Huddle's Heel Brothers. How are you doing tonight, Nathan?
I am doing very, very good. We're just almost 72 hours away, 48 hours away from bat time against you guys. And boy, I'm nervous, but I'm excited and I'm thankful to be back in Omaha. It's been a while.
Oh yeah. So I was going to say, so it looks like the oldest rivalry in the South is about to have another edition on the baseball field. And that's North Carolina and Virginia at 2 on Friday. So real quick, recapping how the Tar Heels got here. I thought y'all's regional was pretty tough considering you had LSU in your regional. And I know we were talking earlier about how you had to get by LIU twice and the tough LSU team. And then in your super regional, the game you played West Virginia, and I know you guys had a walk-off home run in that one. There's all sorts of noises and stuff going on in the stands that were distracting everybody, including yourself. But yeah, so what's been the key to North Carolina reaching this World Series?
Pitching, number one, pitching. I'm not gonna lie. This feels, and Alan can give you a little bit better history of Carolina baseball. This is something I've just relatively gotten into over the past few years. I've never been a big baseball fan ever, honestly, up until the last few years here, and purely because of North Carolina. That's just the case. But this bullpen is really good. And it seems that at any given moment, any one of these guys you feel comfortable with going out there and starting or relieving, and a guy like Dalton Pence closing. It is amazing to watch. There have been some very sticky situations that Carolina's had to get themselves out of, especially against LSU. We saw in the regional there, chances to lose games. It just seems like Carolina's pitchers come out composed and primed and ready for any moment that they're put in there. And not only that, but they got some, me and Alan was talking about this today, they got moxie, bro. They just walk out saying like, look, it's just, you're not going to beat us. It's just, this is what it is. So just get used to it, brother, because here we come. And no matter how much you stack the odds against Carolina, they have found a way to get themselves out of it. Now, there's some things that I don't think can continue considering you are on the big stage. And like we were talking off air before we got on this, you can't mess around with teams at this stage because this is Omaha, baby. Everybody can sniff a championship now. All those beautiful little things you got sitting behind you there, Jay. But everybody wants one of them. So you can't mess around with some things. So there are a few things that kind of worry me a little bit. But I honestly, I was telling my buddy earlier, who's a Clemson fan. I told him, I said, I just feel comfortable going to war with this team any day. I do. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you.
So Jay, I was telling Nathan before we came on air, he was talking about all your trophies back there, and he didn't know that Virginia Tech doesn't own one of those.
Oh yeah, there's actually a page on X.
I told him about it.
It has the exact amount of days that they've gone without a national championship. But we hope to add more hardware to it in a couple of weeks here. But it's funny, you talk about the moxie and everything. I think we're very similar in that regard. Virginia's kind of relied on their hitting all year, and the pitching has kind of been suspect. And as we've gotten into the tournament, that's kind of role reverse. Not that the offense has been bad. We still scored, a fair share of runs, but the pitching has really come to play. I mean, Jay Woolfolk, had what I think most would consider to be a down year for what his expectations are. He's looking at like a second, third round draft pick, and his ERA for the year was up around 5 or 6. And he's come through with 2 just monumental outings, especially against Mississippi State, went 8 innings, held them to 2 runs, and really got us into the Super Regional, and then pitched another gem in Game 2. While the offense has been good, it hasn't been great. And when you get to Omaha, it seems like the offenses, if you look at past years, those big offenses, when they get to Omaha, there's not a whole there's a lot less home runs hit in Omaha for sure.
Yep.
And the runs seem to be at a premium. So it's kind of like the major leagues. When you get to big time baseball, pitching tends to win out.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, that was a big topic of conversation for me and Alan today. We were just kind of chit-chatting about it, and one of the things that Carolina has been big on this year that's not in their favor coming into this has been home runs. They've hit some home runs this year, to say the least. I mean, You've got guys like Vance Honeycutt running out here with 26 home runs on the year, 20 for Parks Harbor, 18 Casey Cook, 7, 8, 14, 14, 3. I mean, you see home runs all over the place for North Carolina, which is, hey, that's great. It gets you to the dance, but base hits are going to be the biggest part of this. And from what Alan, I was talking about, base hitting is really going to be where one of these teams is going to separate themselves. And teams like that seemingly have been pretty much all year. You see a team like Tennessee in our side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket, Kentucky, another team, base hit, base hit, base hit. They just know how to spot the ball, man. They've done a really good job on that. So Carolina's got some work cut out for them. I like that this is probably the best outfield Carolina saw in quite some time. And that's really going to help us. So there's a lot of space out there in that field. So, I like that our defensive outfielders are they're pretty nice, to say the least. So I feel comfortable with them. And Vance Honeycutt can seem to just hose down somebody if he has to, from the outfield, or from center field. So. That's going to be a tall task for Carolina to get over, but I do feel like if they get over it, they're going to be a tough out. I think so.
So you talked about your pitching. Are your arms more power arms, or are they more finesse? With Virginia, most of our guys I've noticed are topping out in that 92 to 94. We don't really have that big, huge arm that comes in just throwing gas by everybody. What's Carolina relying on?
To answer it completely is yes. We've got everything. And that's really what helps us is, a guy like DeCaro, who is freshman, he can come out there and he can hose you down. So can Dalton Pence. Dalton Pence, who's your closer, that man's throwing fastballs straight down your throat, but he just does it and gets away with it. Just, all right, whatever, cool. And Mateus with the breaking ball, Sprague with all these sliders and everything. We have we have a collection of everything. We have a little taste of everything. And I think that's what helps us. And we're missing our ace. Our ace is he got hurt in the South Carolina game early in the year, right in front of me and Alan, as a matter of fact. And that's in Folger Boaz. But he's been gone and he won't be back for the rest of the year. But that hurts. But still, even though you lose your ace and you're still sitting in a position like this, it says a lot. And for us, it definitely has helped that we do have a little bit of everything, and that's huge for us.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the key to you guys beating us? What do you think the key is to beating Virginia and getting off to a good start?
Don't go up 11-5 and let you guys get back in it. Simple. I'm still upset about that. I was playing pool that night, watching on the TV. Me and my buddies chilling out, just shooting some pool. I'm like, yeah, okay, North Carolina guys are good. No, no, not at all. No, I do think, because we do know that your bats have been pretty solid this year. I do expect, me and I was talking about this, expect DeCaro to come out and start for you. He's our Friday night pitcher, so we do expect him to come out and start for us, which will be interesting. He will have a very tight leash, to say the least. So that's going to be big. But not only that, testing to see whether or not we can get you into that bullpen early. It's going to be big, because we do know Virginia's pitching hasn't been the greatest in the world this year, to say the least. So Carolina really, especially with that top three lineup with Vance, Colby, and Parks Harbor, it's going to be huge. And we need some more stuff from the extras, but from the guys, deeper in the batting list, like Luke Stevenson. Give you an example. Luke Stevenson, freshman catcher, right, has played amazing, to say the least. Power hitter. He's just a power hitter. But since the regionals, ever since the beginning of the regionals, he has looked so shaky to me. He just look like, you can see it in his eyes. He's just all in his head, right? Striking out, to a point where they actually pulled him in. I forget which game this was. This was either the game 7 against LSU in order to advance into the super regional, I believe it was, where they actually had they had a hitter come in for him, Castagnazzi, who hadn't hit in God knows how long. Ended up being a big reason why we won that game, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
But they keep putting him out there. And the other night, when we were up 4-1 against West Virginia, this is game 2. You know, we win, then we get to this point, or if we lose, we have to go to game 3. Come out, and all of a sudden, we were up 4-1. We went down to 6-4, and it's the top of the 8th. Or excuse me, top of the 9th. It's 6-5, and we need the tying run to at least go into extra innings. Soon as we get into the bottom of the 9th, first batter up's Luke Stevenson. Clark throws a ball straight in there, and he rockets it and gets a home run. And it feels like he's calmed down a little bit. Right. So we need things like that from guys deeper in the batting list. Alex Madera has been huge for us, and he's 7th in the chart, I believe. 6th or 7th in the chart. It's been huge for us. So one of the biggest reasons why we're here in the first place. And then you have a guy like Vance. You take your chances with that guy. He has issues of striking out. He has batting issues. He's kind of hot and cold. Right now, he's extremely hot. He's extremely hot. And you're hoping that continues in. Now, we have talked about homers and everything are at a premium. Points are at a premium in a place like Omaha and in the big MLB stadiums. Or, you understand that. You get it. So you're just hoping that it can translate over. And from home runs, let's get some base hits. Just get a couple guys on base.
Yeah, I feel like our teams are very similar in the batting orders. You guys have definitely had an advantage, pitching throughout the regular season. Our pitching has stepped up in the postseason. We'll see how that goes. I was doing a little research. So on our side of the bracket, just taking hits, for example, because I know we were talking about that a minute ago, all 4 teams on our side of the bracket are inside the top 15. So Virginia was number 1 in the nation ranked in team hits.
Oh, wow.
Tennessee was number 4, Florida State 6, and UNC 15. But then when you swing around, and then home runs, we were all right there with each other. You swing around with ERA, that's where we got to be nervous. Tennessee was ranked number 3, UNC number 15, Florida State 43, and we were 88. So that's our nervous moment. I'm hoping. So I know, like Jay said, we scored some runs. We definitely scored some runs. And some of our scores look like the games weren't close, but every one of them dang games were close. And even the game we beat Mississippi State to advance in the regionals, I think that was a 3-2 game in the ninth inning, and we scored 6 runs, and most of those were like unearned. Like there was a mistake made, an overthrow at first, and that keeps an inning alive type of stuff. Like we were at the edge of our seat. Are we going to win the game? And then next thing you know, we pulled it out. So I'm hoping, for Virginia's sake, I'm hoping that the bats get going early and often, because I don't know if the pitching can continue to do what it's done. So
the good news is for us that we've got, I think, 20. It's over 20 come from behind wins on the year, and you touched on one of them against UNC. And even to this point in the tournament, we've got 3 come from behind wins just in the NCAA tournament already. So
we have, it's crazy, just about all of them, to say the least. Yeah, pretty much, for just about all of them. Yeah,
right.
Outside.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just like you guys, we have freshmen in the batting order that are. I mean, the guy in our first game against Mississippi State, he was our freshman Becker. He knocked in. What did we win that game, Jay? 4.
He had 4 RBIs.
4, and the final was 4-2. The next day, or 4-3. Either way, whatever. His bat won the game for us. The next day, he didn't even start. So you just don't ever know. But so finish this statement for me. North Carolina wins the NCAA tournament if.
The bats stay hot. The bats stay hot. I trust the pitching enough at this point. The bats just got to stay hot. They do.
All right.
There you go. As I'll say, and you're the only one that I've talked to from the ACC that has felt confident in their pitching. So That's your advantage right there, because all the rest of us are all nervous about starting pitching. And then you said
crazy.
you want to.
I mean, you feel a little bit nervous about a couple of our guys. I mean, like a DeCaro, like a Sprague, just because they are freshmen. Don't get me wrong; they're true freshmen out there in a stage like this. But at the same time, they haven't shown a single second of being shook by the moment. That's what is special to me watching these kids. And a guy like Gallagher, Gavin Gallagher is a name everybody's going to know coming out of this NCAA tournament run. The walk-off grand slam, the catches he's made at third base. Tommy White for LSU probably still has daggum nightmares about Gallagher on third base. Everything he rocketed over there, Gallagher caught and said, "Nah, G, we get up, bro. Like, go on back, go and get." So it just seeing not only the experienced talent, like you get the Parks Harbors, the Vance Honeycutts, we get all that. But seeing your true freshmen come in and play so good not only gives you hope for next year moving forward, but also that they're in moments like this in their first years of college baseball, and they're just like, "Cool, let's go."
Right.
Like, this is what it is, dude. Like, this is what we're here to do. It's amazing. It really is.
Right. And so you said that you would like to see North Carolina State in the final, right?
No, I don't want. That's just like, that would be obviously not as stressful, but pretty close up there with Duke and North Carolina in the Final Four a few years ago. Now, we won that one. I don't know if we get 2 of those games in a row, 2 of those little settings in a row. I don't know. And quite frankly, I wanted Georgia to beat State and Clemson to beat Florida. That way it'd still be even at our numbers here, but whatever. It happens. But I know they play Kentucky on Saturday. That's the first game. So that's going to be tough, man. That's going to be a fun game to watch because those 2 teams, they're going to go at it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if you could guarantee that you would beat NC State, then that's who you'd want to play.
Of course. Come on through. Undefeated. Come on through, baby. Come on. I don't want them to lose a game. I want them to come right in, watch them, and get on my back. Be nice. Be very nice.
All right. Well, Nathan, how can our listeners find your content?
You can go to twitter.x.com. I guess you could say. It's so hard to say.
It'll take you there if you hit Twitter.
Yeah, hit Twitter, hit the X, whatever it is. Go to .com, go to Heel Brothers on X or Twitter. You can go there and always check out anytime we tweet. But also you can go over to youtube.com/Heel Brothers, not the Heel Brothers, but Heel Brothers. And you can check us out over there and keep an eye on all the good North Carolina stuff coming out. We've been kind of taking a little bit of a break right now. It's off season, kind of letting some stuff simmer down. But since everything has been happening the way it is, Carolina getting to here, definitely in the talks right now, potentially doing some more live watch parties. I know I did one for the game 7 against LSU. Fun, had a great time with that, and this is going to be interesting, man. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, check us out on YouTube and also Twitter.
Cool. Look, we love getting together with you guys. Absolutely, and hopefully we can do this one again soon. Mm-hmm. If not, we'll see how it all shakes out this week. But I can't say good luck to you.
I can't.
So I'd be fake if I said good luck, but we'll have fun with it and hopefully a good game.
That's what in your future endeavors.
It'll be a good game no matter what, just because ACC, everybody's been crapping on the ACC for years. Yep. I'm sick of it, quite frankly. I have always been a fan of the ACC. I have. Now, don't get me wrong. Leadership from the top, different story. They're not my best. They're not my favorite people in the world. Right. But as far as a conference, I love our conference. I think it's great. Yep. Even the little redheaded stepchilds we're adopting, whatever, school, SMU, and who actually has really good odds of winning the ACC championship this year.
Yeah,
that'll be a different conversation, I guess, in about a month or so.
Oh yeah.
But don't you love it? But no, I love the ACC. I really would like to see, the ACC. I want to see the ACC bring home the championship. I really, really do. The 3 ACC teams that I will root for in that scenario. So the other one again, stay over there. But no, Really excited to see what the ACC does in this tournament. I personally think they're one of, if not the best conference in baseball, quite frankly. And it's cool seeing in the map where all the teams are located that are coming in.
Right.
This Southeast region is just loaded, man. There's so much great talent coming out of from the hills of Virginia all the way to the shores of Florida. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
Everything is great, man, on this side of the United States. So we're loaded with talent. We have great baseball, football, basketball. We got it all over here.
No doubt. All right, Nathan. Well, thanks for your time tonight, and we will link back up here soon. Have a great evening.
Sirs. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Nathan and one member of the Heel Brothers. When you're searching them online, make sure it's Heel Brothers, not the Heel Brothers. So Virginia and North Carolina will play on Friday at 2. It wasn't purposeful on this, but if you noticed, he was up in that top right corner, and our Cavalier Connection was right in his square. So it wasn't on purpose, but hopefully it's a sign that something good's coming our way, or karma might bite me in the butt and we have a tough outing in game 1. Real quick, I did want to talk about Virginia and Virginia's chances in the College World Series. So Virginia's a team that has appeared in 7 College World Series, 3 of the last 4, and they've won one College World Series championship. So coming into this one, we kind of talked about it when we were talking with Nathan, but our strengths have been our bats, and our weaknesses this season has definitely been the pitching. However, in the regionals, we had 3 good outings, including when things wrapped up in game 3 against Mississippi State, with Jay Woolfolk giving a great 8-inning start, giving up 2 runs only. We started game 1 with Evan Blanco, and then went Joe Savino, finished that one off with Jay Woolfolk. And then we played Kansas State and went Blanco, who's our ace, who will go in game 1 in the tournament against North Carolina. And then we pitched Woolfolk in game 2, and he took care of business again. So now we're here. We're playing North Carolina. I think the bats have not been exactly as good as they actually can be, and that's an exciting thing. In a big ballpark, I believe there's going to be – this team led the nation in hits, 5th in doubles, 2nd in batting average. So I fully expect us to do a lot of hitting some gappers, getting some doubles. I think we were 11th in the nation in home runs. Harrison Didewick was tied our single season record in home runs this year. He's got 23, so I'd love to think he'd hit number 24 and break that record in this College World Series. So our strengths have been our bats. Our weaknesses have been in the pitching. However, like I said, if we can get the pitching, I believe if we get the pitching that we have gotten thus far, we have a shot to win this whole thing. I did see something today where Jay Woolfolk did tweak an ankle, I believe it was. So hopefully he's okay. But I think that's the keys to Virginia winning this thing. If we can get our pitching if they pitch the way they pitched throughout, I believe our bats are really getting ready to come to play and heat up, because I don't think they've met their abilities yet in this tournament. So we'll see how this one turns out. We're excited. We're going to release this. This one's releasing here today at noon, so we can get ready for the tournament. I hope you enjoy watching the previews. I'd like to thank Plant the Spear and Jesse, the Red White Podcast and Evan, and Heel Brothers and Nathan for joining and spending a little bit of time with us so we can learn a little bit about their baseball teams. ACC, SEC challenge, you just as well call it. Both conferences with 4 teams in it. And we'll see if the ACC can't come up on top. We got one shot on one side of the bracket with the Wolfpack. I know Nathan is not pulling for that one. And on Virginia's side, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida State, we got a 75% chance, 3 out of 4 of getting a team into the final. So should be interesting. Can't wait for it. I want to thank everyone for joining us to this edition of the College Huddle. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, check out thecollegehuddle.com. Tons of content. We have over 70 schools represented at thecollegehuddle.com with podcasts. Baseball's wrapping up here soon, and we're going to really be ramping up that football coverage. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.